Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the Thursday, June 8th, 2023 Public Works Committee meeting. In attendance, we have Councilmember Schneider and Councilmember Althauser and myself, Councilmember Swarthout. First thing we have on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the Public Works Committee meeting, May 18th meeting, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, minutes passed. All right, Bill, now it's your turn. You're up. And we have Israel Road and Lenderson Way Water Main Project Schedule 74 Project Plan and Schedule 74 Underground Conversion Construction Agreement. Take it away, Bill.
All right. Good morning, council members. I'm going to run share screen and hopefully all this works. All right. So can you see my presentation? All right. So good morning, council members. I'm here. I actually have two presentations today regarding the same project. So I'll try not to reiterate information back and forth between the two. Just to make it clear. So today I wanted to talk about the Israel Road and Lenderson Way water main project, and specifically the Schedule 74 project plan and construction agreement. So as you know, the Schedule 74 is a process that establishes rules for converting PSNE's existing overhead distribution system to underground. That's for anything 15 kV or less. In our case, we don't have any high power lines, so it's really the conversion area is within our project limits. And this is linked directly to the overall water main project, so it is a part of the water main project. And as far as the project overview, we're looking at undergrounding 3,114 feet of overhead power, and that would be limits of Lenderson Way to Capitol Boulevard on Israel Road. So the undergrounding is going to occur on Israel Road. And with that undergrounding, there will also be service connection replacements. So we'll be doing underground service connections to each of the affected properties that feed off of that distribution line. Whoops, sorry. So the PSNE agreements that we're talking about today, there's actually two separate agreements, but they are linked together, as I'll explain in a minute. So the Schedule 74 project plan is really kind of the first agreement that they do. That agreement has all of the main components, the information about what's going on the project. It includes the scope of work, the actually what is going to occur. It includes construction plans and specs and work requirements for the project. Talks about operating rights, has a basic construction work schedule included in that agreement. And it also lays out the construction cost estimate. So that's the estimate prepared by PSNE for the costs for the undergrounding work. The second agreement, which is the construction agreement, is the actual contractual agreement between the city and PSNE. These are very similar to the same agreements that we did for the Trosper Road undergrounding just recently. The construction agreement basically references the project plan as an attachment. So the two agreements are kind of together, but they are separate documents. The work responsibility for this work, same as what occurred on Trosper Road. It's pretty much the same layout, where the PSC is going to supply the conduits and transformers for the project. They're going to install the actual electrical system, coordinate and complete the changeover and the transfers for the new services, remove and deactivate and replace the existing electrical system once the new system is in place. And then they provide actual project inspection services during the city's portion of the project when we install the conduits and other items. City responsibility from a construction standpoint is the city will construct the utility trench and install the conduits provided by PSE, and then also install the service transformers. And then PSE will eventually come through and make connections for those. The estimated cost and funding sources for this work. Schedule 74 is a cost sharing of 60% PSE and 40% City of Tumwater. The overall total construction cost for the undergrounding is $947,187. PSE's cost estimate, the estimate for PSE's share is $568,312, and the city's estimated share is $378,875. So if anyone has any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, thank you, Bill. I can't see everybody. Do we have any questions, gentlemen? No?
Oh, man. Pretty straightforward.
Let's see. So my only, what's the timing on this one then? Just refresh my memory of this one.
Well, the timing for this project is, as I'll talk about here in a little bit.
Oh,
Basically,
sorry. Okay.
no, that's fine. It's basically construction in the August, September timeframe.
So we won't be interfering with Tumwater High School and trying to get kiddos back and forth to school.
Yeah,
Will
I'll
the
talk
road
about
be done
that.
by school start?
Yeah, I can talk about that in a little more depth on the next one because we're going to talk about the
Oh, okay.
listening bids.
Okay, sorry. I'll quit talking and let you.
No problem.
We have no questions on this one, and we'll let you jump into the next one then. Or do you want us to go ahead? Should we do these separately, Karen? So we go ahead and take action on this one and then listen to the other one?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. So if we don't have any questions, then let's see. Staff requests that the Public Works Committee recommend the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to sign the Puget Sound Energy Schedule 74 project plan and Schedule 74 construction agreement to complete utility undergrounding conversion for the Israel Road and Linderson Way water main project. Do I have consensus on approval on this one, gentlemen? Any questions?
So moved.
Aye. Okay, all right. With that, we will move that on to City Council then. Let's see. That'll probably be consent as a consent item. Let's see, and let's go ahead and then move to the next one.
All right. So I'm gonna again share my screen. Let's see. Oops. Sure. Okay, council members, can you see that? Very
Yes.
good. So again, I'm talking about today about the Israel Road and Linderson Way water main project, and this is in reference to our request to solicit construction bids for the project. And I wanted to go over just a little bit of background on this project. So the project in general is to replace water main, aging water main on Israel Road and then a portion of Linderson Way. So this project is slated in the Water Capital Facilities Plan. So it's noted in there, and it's also supported in the 2021 Comprehensive Water System Plan Update. The project in general is needed to replace aging asbestos water mains. And these mains, I think in this area, they were installed around the 1960s. So they're getting very close to their design life. So they really need to be replaced. And ultimately, it's to provide a safe and reliable water system for the city of Tumwater and to ensure that our water system stays effective. The scope of work for the project is, as I said, water main replacement on Israel Road, and that will be from I-5. I'll show a map here in just a second, from I-5 all the way over to Capitol Boulevard, and that's about 3,750 feet of water main. And then water main replacement on Linderson Way, which will stretch from Israel Road south to the Labor and Industries access on Linderson. And that's about 950 feet. Again, we're going to upgrade all of the water service connections and any connections along that way. As part of the water main work, we'll be upgrading those connections all the way to the right of way, just to make sure everything's new when we're finished. And then replacement of all the pavement and sidewalk and other things that are affected by the trenching operations on the project. One thing to note on this project is once the project's completed, you will see trenching, the imprint of trenching throughout the roadway, but there's another project for the road slated for next year, which will repave it. So there's really no reason to repave at this point. So we're just going to patch back the trenching. The utility underground improvements is also a part of the project. And again, that's the PSC underground conversion from Linderson Way all the way over to Capitol Boulevard. And that's about 3,115 feet. And that's gonna include our service connection upgrades underground to the property line for the different property owners, including the city hall. And then it's going to have also additional overhead utility conversions that we've been coordinating. Those are, I think out there we have Astound, Lumen, Comcast, and then there's also a WSDOT fiber optic system and a city fiber optic system. So all of those will be converted to underground. So we'll be removing all the overhead poles by the time we're finished. Oops. This is a overview of the project. So the bluish cyan color is the water main replacement on Israel Road, I-5 to Capitol, and then down Linderson. And then the yellow is representative of the underground utility trench replacement or underground utility trench installation. And some of the considerations for this project, probably the most important component of this project was really how to phase the project from a construction standpoint. Israel Road is a pretty busy road. The advantage that we have with Israel Road is that there are a lot of alternative routes that people can take to avoid it. So I think a lot of people use Israel Road to navigate through the city when they could go a different route. I did want to touch real quick on the fact that from my experience here working at the city, our public outreach has gotten much better on our construction projects. We have a much more robust system for providing information to the public on these projects. So one of the things that we'll focus on that for that aspect will be to make sure that we have alternative routes noted for people so that they can avoid the construction if they choose to do so. For some people, they can't, so they have to use Israel Road. So the way we have worked the project is, generally speaking, the water line is in the center of the road. So most of the construction will occur with the work zone in the center of the roadway with traffic, two-way traffic moving on the north and the south sides of the roadway. And this is very similar to what we did on Capitol during the recent Trosper Road project, when we removed the concrete panels and we worked the sanitary sewer down the center of the road. So they'll be working in the center of the road with traffic moving on the left and the right. And then when we get to the some of the utility trenching that we're doing for the underground PSNE work, then we're going to move traffic, two-way traffic, to just the south side of the roadway, and then they'll be working on the north side. Originally, our plan was to actually do all of the work on the north side of the roadway, but there's just too many other existing utilities underground. We can't fit the new water main and keep the existing water main active without actually putting it down the center of the roadway. So the ultimate goal is to maintain two-way traffic the whole time, so a lane in each direction. There will be stoppages during the project, like limitations or flagging at certain points during the project, especially when we get to Lenderson and Israel intersection. There's work that has to occur in there, so there will be some flagging operations there. And then also when we're working some of the service connections. But for the most part, it should be pretty straightforward all the way through the project. So again, maintaining two-way traffic as much as we can throughout the duration of the project. Probably the main traffic component I see is really the Tumwater High School. There's a lot more students that are actually driving to work than taking the bus. So it does create a little bit of a traffic issue there at the school. We have summer break starting, I think it's June 20th, all the way until September the 5th. So our plan, we had written into the specs kind of a work order for the contractor to focus on the area in front of the school first, to try to finish all the underground work in the front of the school, and then kind of branch out from there and to get farther away from the school. One thing to note is that water main projects, the depth isn't really deep in depth. So usually they can make really good progress once they get going. So the project itself should go pretty quick. But Tumwater High School has been addressed as far as like keeping an eye on the importance of trying to have that work done before school starts after Labor Day. And then again, our fire and police need full access during the construction, along with we want to make sure that the city hall and our maintenance vehicles and things have access. So
Hey, Bill,
oh, go ahead.
Pause for a second. I know it's hard to see when you're speaking, but Councilmember Althauser has a question that was related to the beginning of the slide, I think.
Oh, sorry, council member.
Oh, no, I was actually going to ask a question about which you sort of dovetails into what you just said for police and fire. That was sort of the only question I had, is how are they going to turn left out of city hall facilities if we're working on the middle? So like both lanes will eventually be south of the center. But in the meantime, like if a police officer needs to go code, get somewhere really quick, or if the fire truck needs to be dispatched in a quick fashion, how are they going to navigate that if we're doing construction in the middle?
Yes, it's a very good question. The way I envisioned it was as they're moving through, they'll get to a point when they hit those access points where you're right, making a left won't be possible. In those cases, the contractor is going to have flaggers on site to address that left turn movement if it's needed. So they'll have to manage traffic just like a police officer would approach an intersection. They'll just have to be cognizant of the fact that they can make a left coming out, but the contractor's going to have to stop the traffic so they can do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then
the right-hand lane essentially, right is relative, I guess, but the southern lane, which is traveling east, the traffic there would have to be fully stopped for an emergency vehicle to take a left, and it would then travel down that lane and then get to where the construction in the middle stops, to where they can then transfer over to the proper lane, the right-hand lane.
Yes, I mean, the other alternative, and this will be something that we'll coordinate with the police department during construction. Obviously, the other alternative is with the smaller, most of the police vehicles are relatively small. They're not large vehicles. So it could be that as long as the contractor is aware of it, the police officer makes a right, goes down to the work zone and U-turns, as long as there's a flagger or something there to make sure that they can do it safely. U-turns around the work zone and heads back west. So I'm pretty sure the only one that's more challenging is really the police are fairly maneuverable. Obviously the fire trucks aren't. So the fire trucks will have to be accommodated if they need to make a left for traffic to stop so that they can make a left out. So
Okay. Okay.
it's not an uncommon problem. It's just one that has to be well planned for to make sure that the police and the fire department are fully aware of how the process is going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So we've accounted for those items in our project's special provisions, and we're providing those to the contractor, and there will be discussions that we will have at the pre-construction meeting, and then coordinating with Marnie and Ann during the project to make sure that everybody knows exactly how that process will work. From a project standpoint, for a cost and funding standpoint, the engineer's estimates coming out at $2,997,283.28. We're running a likely range of bids from 2.7 to 3.2. The range is a little bit skewed towards the lower, but that's really in anticipation of kind of unknown material costs, because costs for materials are really hard to manage right now. So we're assuming that the materials cost, it just depends on whether materials costs are low or high at the time they actually bid. For funding, the water main improvements are funded by the water CFP. And for the PS&E portion, the trenching and the conduit installation, that's funded through the transportation CFP, and then the Schedule 74 work, the actual conversion is funded again through the transportation CFP at the 60-40 split. Duration of the project, approximately 15 working days. That's about 2.5 months. I am expecting that when we bring a contractor on board that they're going to probably want to start work as soon as possible. That's my expectation this summer. Just depending upon material availability is really our big issue right now with most projects. But I'm expecting construction is going to be pretty heavy in August, September, and then with final cleanup probably the first couple of weeks, maybe the first week or two of October. Current project schedule, if it's approved, we're planning on bidding, bidding today, bid opening on June the 22nd, and then construction estimated start, like I said, towards the end of July. So I didn't have anything else for today. I will stop my screen share. If anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to ask them or answer them.
Hey, that's going to be interesting I appreciate Councilmember Althazer's question about trying to get our police vehicles and our fire trucks around that. So that'll be interesting. So, but I know you guys are thinking that through. So do we have any other questions then for Bill? Okay, Michael.
So starts in July. How long do we sort of expect the center construction to last, to where fire would need flagger escort in order to take a left? Are we thinking like several months to get it, or like what's the sort of projected timeline for the more serious interruption in terms of traffic and access?
Councilmember, so the project's a linear project in sense they're going to start at some point and they're going to move through the project. So they're just going to trench through, install, and then refill the trench. So the timing of when the real disruption is going to occur is going to be relatively short. I mean, if you think about it, if they're coming across the access that the police have off of Market, when they leave there, it's really that intersection itself. So if they're 50 feet away from the intersection, they're probably fine. As the contractor moves towards the intersection, he'll be working in that area. And again, like I said, water projects do, with a good contractor, they do move at a very good speed. I mean, we're talking sometimes, 50, 100, 200 feet a day, they can install that water line. So, I mean, it could be a couple of days at each access point, maybe a week at the most, if there's a lot of different connections and things. So it'll be kind of
Okay.
intermittent throughout the project at different times. So again, it's the biggest issue there is just being very cognizant of it and being sure that when their schedule gets to that point, everything is in place to make sure that situation is accommodated.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, what a busy summer. Bill, are you overseeing this one and Capitol Boulevard? 'Cause that's,
Yeah.
are
I'm
you,
at-
did you shake your head up and down? Okay, wow,
That's
wow,
fine.
wow.
I'm pretty busy. I'm pretty busy.
I should also
Somewhere.
say that he's also overseeing the paver all at the
Oh,
same
the
time.
paving too? Oh, Brandon, goodness. So that's a lot of work this summer, you guys. Well, it's neat that we're getting this addressed. So if we have any other questions for Bill? No, looks like it. Okay, so we do have a recommended action. Staff requests that the Public Works Committee authorize staff to solicit bids for the Israel Road and Lenderson Way Water Main Project and recommend City Council award and authorize the mayor to sign a Public Works contract with the lowest responsible bidder. Okay, do we have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Gentlemen, okay, thank you so much. We've got that taken care of. It's going to be a busy summer around Tumwater. We're all torn up. Let's see. Do we have any other additional items that we need to discuss today? Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. I think we set another land speed record. We're done in 30 minutes. So everyone, I will call the Thursday, June 8th, 2023 Public Works meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
You.
You do.